Join us today as we show you 2 ways to quilt the same block. Welcome to Handi Quilter Watch and Learn. I'm Christina Whitney.
And I'm Kim Sandberg.
And we are doing a fun project today. We are working with American Patchwork and Quilting magazine, and they've sent us 2 identical blocks.
Yes.
And we've been working on these blocks, and they're really fun. This particular block is called Flight of Fancy, and it will be in the December 24 magazine. And we get to do a simple version and a not so simple version, and just do whatever we want and play with it.
Yeah.
So what did you choose to do on this one? I'm like, I have no idea what you've got planned. We might have the exact same thing planned.
Mine is the simpler version. I was actually planning this one when I got to work this morning. I will admit it, this was the last one. But I had a lot of fun with this one. So this is, it's a classic quilt block, and there's a lot of fun piecing in here. So I really wanted to try to do something that would kind of emphasize the piecing. But to start with, I want to take a look at the thread I decided to use on this. So I want to use one thread throughout the whole thing because I think I have figured out a quilting path that will allow you to do it all in one shot. But you know, you never know. So I found this light blue, which I feel like when we put it over all the colors, I feel like the only color it's going to have a lot of contrast with is the pink in the middle, which is okay because that's the center point of the block. It's the focal point. It's fine. So this is what I'm going to use. It's So Fine 470 from Superior Thread. So this is a 40 weight polyester thread. I love it because it's just a great thread, easy to work with.
While we're here, do you want to see my thread?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, so I went a little different. I'm using a So Fine 517, which is a yellow. And I thought, you know, yellow with the blue and the green.
Yeah. And
it almost reads like as a white. And so I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to attempt to do this without having to break my thread, but I think I might have to. But yeah, that's my thread choice.
Awesome.
Okay.
We are going to be demonstrating the quilting on these, just so you know, on a long arm quilting machine, but you can absolutely do everything we're talking about here on your home sewing machine, on a stationary or sit down quilting machine. We could even, we thought of this, we were like, oh, you could even hand quilt with the same designs that we're presenting here. So don't feel like you're limited just because you may not have exactly the same tools we do. Trust me, if you have a sewing machine or needle and thread, you can do this. Okay, let's take a look at this here, and I'm going to show you what my quilting ideas are. So here's a couple tools I am going to use while I'm working on quilting this. I'm going to use a straight edge ruler. I love our skinny straight because it's got 1/4 inch markings on it, which makes it easy to line things up. I also think I'm going to use this Echo foot. It's 3/8 inch offset, so it's a little bit more than a 1/4 inch, a little bit less than 1/2 inch. 3/8, right?
Yep.
If I'm doing my math right. And so what that means is I'm going to be stitching a 3/8 of an inch from this outside edge, so I can line that up along the edge of things. It'll help me keep things consistent without having to mark. Now, if you don't have a ruler or you don't have the ability to use these feet, you can absolutely do some pre-marking or something like that with like a water-soluble marker to create your design. All right, let's go through. Yep, here's a water-soluble. She had to be a water-soluble. So here's a good water-soluble marker. And remember, you always want to test these first, meaning you make a little mark on the fabric, then you use some water to remove it and make sure that it's not going to leave some kind of a white spot, or I'm trying to think of some of the other things like a shadow kind of, Okay, so here is what I want to do for this. Here's my quilting path for this design, and that is on there really tight. Okay.
I've got to get rid of these threads.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. So I'm going to do pretty much all straight line quilting except in this section, like these, I'm kind of looking at them as like flowers. Everything else in here is going to be straight lines. So what I want to do is I'm going to come, and I'm not actually going to use the ruler, but you guys get the idea. I'll use the ruler while I'm quilting. I'm going to come in all the way along Stitch in the Ditch, And then I'm going to come over that about 3/8 and come back out again and go over, come down, over, back up, over, back to the center. Now, I want to put a design in here. So this is a great place because I'm already right here. So I'm going to do continuous curve. Hopefully I'm not stealing this idea from Christina.
No, so far we're good. I do see something that we did the same, but we'll see that in a minute.
That's okay. But what, so what I've done there, I feel like I've kind of, it looks like a leaf shape or maybe a flower petal, something.
Like a holly leaf.
A holly leaf, there we go, there we go. Okay, so now I'm here, I can go ahead and move on to the next block. So once again, I'm just gonna go there, go back out, come back up the center, and go back out. Now this time I ended up out here. And what I want to do is go around the outside and do that echo inside just these green squares here. And then I will come over and do another echo here. Just trying to see if I'm still following my stitch path. I'm going to come to right here, and this time I'm going to go ahead and catch this block. So I'm going to do my continuous curve. And Christina hopefully will help me remember my stitch path.
Well, with continuous curve, there are just so many possibilities. You can add things in, like, yep, right now you can do that, or you could do it after you did the next one. Like, there's so many possibilities.
So I'm going to go ahead and go out.
Don't forget your ditch.
Oh, whoops. Thank you. Out, in, out, in. Okay, now, this is where I've got to make a decision because I'm going to go back. Well, actually, yeah. So my next one would be to come over here and go back out there. Well, I'm at this corner here and I want to do continuous curve here in the center. And I even thought about maybe making it loop like this. So it kind of loops in the corners.
That's kind of fun.
Add in a little bit of a design feature there.
Yeah.
We'll call that. Okay, so then I end up here. I can go ahead and do my continuous curve here. And then I can go back out. And now I can go ahead and work my way around the block and do the rest of these using either my ditch, if I was doing together, or outside just in the, where, you know, the binding would be on the outside of the quilt. Now I'm going to come to here, and I've already quilted some of those along that edge, so I'll just stitch right there along the edge and then grab those ones, come back up and grab those ones. So, okay, I'm just checking here. That's my lovely quilting plan. Hopefully my lines are a little straighter and stuff, but
I think you should do them all like that.
Just a little wiggle, wobble like that? Okay.
I'm going to try.
Well, you know.
Then you don't have to use the ruler.
I was just going to say, if you choose to do it, first time's a mistake. If you do it the second and third time, it becomes a design choice. So, yeah absolutely. All right, so that's my plan. Let's go ahead and we'll take this off of here and let's see what your quilting plan is, Christina.
Well, mine, I'm gonna have to do some marking and a lot of thinking.
Okay.
So I think I've got it continuous, but we'll see. Okay, the first thing I need to mark though is the light blue sections. I'm gonna break those up into squares. Oh, that's for my fabric.
Christina is using the water-soluble marker on the preview paper, which, by the way, we do have preview paper over the top of this. It's just clear plastic that allows you to essentially audition the designs. I don't think we mentioned that earlier. No. It's really great. It's fun. It allows you to just doodle on your quilt block without having to rip out any stitches.
Yes. So maybe I'll bring this one over. Okay. And I will show how to mark it with my water-soluble. This is going to go away.
You can do pre-mark it before you start quilting.
So I'm just kind of dividing that into squares there.
I see that.
And then I'm going to mark the center point.
Okay. And I love that you're just eyeballing it. Like, it's close enough.
Yep.
Not going to get a ruler out and measure anything. That's my kind of marking too.
And I'm just doing a really light mark because the part that I'm really going to need are these dots that I'm doing here. Rotate. Dot, dot, dot.
So here's a question. Do you ever mark a quilt before you load it?
It depends.
Okay, that's what I figured. But it is absolutely an option. You could sit down and do all this marking beforehand.
Yeah. If I have a really good idea of what I'm going to do, I can mark it ahead of time. It depends on which kind of marking tool I'm going to use also. If I'm using chalk, I don't usually mark it ahead of time because it just comes off. Oh, I got to mark these guys too.
The center?
Yeah. If I'm doing a design where it's going to be more than my throat space and I need to have nice straight lines, that's when I really try to mark ahead of time. And then when I put it on, I don't have to try to finagle all of that stuff.
Smart.
Okay, so I've got that marked. I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to change to my dry erase marker, and now I'm going to do my doodling.
Okay.
So I'm just going to do those little dots approximately, and you'll see why here in a second.
Marks you're going to try to hit while you're quilting, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Okay. So I am going to use a ruler as well, and I am going to start, let's start right here. And each time I draw this, I start somewhere different, and I never remember where I start. So we now have video footage, and hopefully I'll remember this is where I'm starting.
Okay.
Okay, so I am going to create straight lines, connecting my dots.
Oh.
And then I'm going to travel, come back. Okay. Now this guy got a little crazy here, but we'll just pretend like that's a square. Then I'm going to do my continuous curve inside of the square, and then I'm going to travel with a little swirl and out to get to my next one. Continuous curve, swirl, and out.
I like that design.
And then this side, I will just get 2 little continuous curves and a partial swirl. Okay? So from there, I came across, and I did this really unique design right here.
You want to borrow my Echo Foot?
You did the exact same design, so I'm going to try something else.
Okay.
I had some other ideas. Let's see, what other ideas did I have for in there? Oh, I was just going to do some little wavy lines. So I was joking about your wavy lines. I'll just put some wavy lines in here.
Once again,
and I'm just going to travel.
Design choice.
Wavy, 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 and just as crazy as I want to be.
Cool.
Okay. Then I'm going to travel over, wavy, 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 wavy. And then I would put my dots, come back, and now I'm ready to do this next section. Wee.
I love how you figured out how to travel with your continuous curve, because continuous curve in a square always starts and ends at the same spot. Adding that little swirl in the middle lets you move on down.
Now I'm going to do the pink box the same. So from here, I'm going to continue out using that pink box as well, going all the way there and back. Just got a little crazy on my swirl. The more I draw, the less accurate I worry about. Okay, now from here, I could go back and grab these guys, but I want to get this section done too. So I'm going to just come over here and do my squiggles. Travel, let's squiggle here. And now I'm going to catch this side. One, two, three, four, swirl. 1, 2, 3, 4, swirl. 1, 2. Got to entertain myself somehow. Okay, from here, I'm going to stitch in the ditch over. And this section, I'm just going to put a little loop. I'm going to echo that loop, and I'm going to do a third echo. Stitch in the ditch, loop, echo, echo, stitch in the ditch, loop, 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 stitch in the ditch, loop, 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 and then finish off that stitch in the ditch. Now, I have not finished these 2 sections or my white section.
Okay.
So I'm going to do some stitch in the ditch to get back to those sections, okay? So just traveling along that same line, and I'm going to stitch in the ditch along this line here. Ooh, that went crazy, okay? But then I'm going to backtrack, and I'm going to stitch that ditch, stitch this ditch, and then I'm going to come down and back up, and we're going to stitch along here. Now you'll notice there's not a ditch right there. I'm making my own line.
Okay.
Okay, then I'm going to come in and fill in with some circles.
Oh, awesome.
I have not decided if I'm going to do rulers or free motion.
I was just going to ask, so.
Yeah, so now that I'm here, I can finish the stitch in the ditch along this section here.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to travel and do that same thing. Stitch in the ditch all the way down, come back, draw my lines here, stitch in the ditch. Oops, I got that. Travel. And then here I'm going to do my circles. And I will figure out how many to put in there so I don't do big and little. And then here I'm going to come back out. Now, I probably should have caught my squiggles while I was over there, but we'll just go back and catch them right now and then come back and continue on. So I will do this section, then do that section and get those last squiggles.
All right.
So it's a little bit more involved.
Yes.
It's going to take a while to stitch out, but it's just different options.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked how this section here, it kind of gives it a secondary design there with this shape bordering it. So
It sure does.
breaking it up a little bit.
I love how different quilting actually makes the block look a little different because it emphasizes different parts of it.
And that's a fun thing because a lot of blocks are kind of traditional. They've been around a long time, and if you quilt every single block the same way it's always been quilted, it's not as unique and it's not just your work.
Yeah.
So coming up with different ways to do things is fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. So take a look here. This is us actually stitching out the designs.
So the Flight of Fancy block, so much fun.
Yeah.
So many options
I
out there.
know.
And I love taking the path and figuring out how you can make it all work. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But you did a great job getting those continuous curves and straight lines, all the match up and everything.
Well,
and
you know, I tried. What can I say? It was fun though, and I'm already looking at this block, coming up with other ideas that I could do. There's lots of great ideas.
Yeah, limitless. So thanks for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure you also have a lot of fun quilting this week.